Greetings internet, it's Monica, and today I am filming the end of the year book tag. This tag was created by Ariel from over at Ariel Bissett, and I was recently inspired to film my own answers to it because my friend Reagan did it, and it just got me thinking about the questions and what my answers would be, so I'm excited to jump on in. I've been reflecting a lot about my reading from the past year recently and just how it's been because basically at the end of last year I had read almost 70 books, and so I set my Goodreads goal for this year to be 75, and I am, I think, less than half of that, so obviously not reaching that goal this year, which is fine. It is, I think, one of the first years that I haven't reached my Goodreads goal. However, upon just like reflection, I think this has been still one of my favorite years reading wise. Like, I just read so many books that I am absolutely in love with. So even though I've read a lot less, I feel like I'm much happier with what I have read. At least that's how I'm feeling right now. Maybe this is how I felt at the end of every year and I just don't realize that. But yeah, I really feel like even books that I didn't like, I feel like I had a very strong reaction to and I have a lot of thoughts on. And so I just feel like this year I just had a lot of passionate feelings about what I've been reading, which is good, I feel like. And there definitely were times when I wasn't reading at all, and, you know, that was just sort of like life craziness and stuff, so, you know, maybe I would have been closer to my goal had not all of those hurdles been in my way, but other than that, I'm really happy with what I have been reading. So yeah, we have, wildly enough, less than 2 months in 2019. 2020 is just around the corner, so I thought this was a good time just to reflect and look forward to the rest of this year, and there's not much left of it. Wild. So the first question is, are there any books that you started but that you haven't finished yet? So these aren't books that you've DNF'd, they're books that like you still want to get to. For me, I have a couple here. The first one is Frankly in Love. This is a YA contemporary story by David Yoon, who is the husband of Nicola Yoon, who you might be familiar with if you're a fan of YA contemporaries. And this story follows Frank Lee, who is Korean American. He's the son of 2 Korean immigrants, and he feels a lot of pressure from his parents and his Korean community to date and eventually marry a Korean girl. And so he ends up fake dating one of his Korean friends, and so that they both can date someone outside of their ethnicity. So Frank is dating this white girl, and the girl that he's fake dating is dating a Chinese boy. And so they're sort of trying to hide this from their parents by pretending that they're dating each other. I am like about a third of the way through this one. Really enjoyed it. I think this one just fell victim to the fact that I read it during like the end of summer, and I was kind of in the mode of just wanting to pick up some autumnal reads, but I am hoping to complete this one. I also have it on audiobook, and I really like the audiobook so far. I am really enjoying this one. I like the discussions within it. I feel like it's not as cut and dry as one might expect it to be. The other book that I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it by the end of the year, but I'm hoping to, is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This one is a like historical fiction comedy of manners novel following Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Mr. Norrell, is it Mr. Norrell or Mr. Norrell? Someone let me know. I'm sure someone will. So Mr. Norrell is this very traditional sorcerer, and he like loathes other sorcerers or people who like pretend to be sorcerers. And then you have Jonathan Strange, who's very much so, he rebuffs a lot of traditions. And this story, it's like this, it's pretty dry, but I kind of love it. It's very funny in a very, again, dry kind of way, and it feels very mundane. Like she is able to interweave magic into this world and have it just feel like it is this mundane part of the world almost, while still also being magical and wonderful. I don't know how she does it, but I think it's really well done. I love the reading process of it. I just need to finish it. It's one of those that it's like very easy to put down because it's not like super fast paced and there aren't like a ton of twists and turns, at least not yet. And so it's really easy for me to just like put it down and like forget about it almost, even though I really am enjoying it. I don't want to say that as though it's not good. It's so good. I just need to like bunker down and like actually read it, which I'm hoping to do. I feel like it's a good winter book too, which I think is what I said last winter when I first started it. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition from summer to autumn? And I guess we're sort of far into autumn at this point, so I've already read that book, so I thought I'd share that book with you, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I actually started this in the summer because I was sent an early copy of it by Macmillan, which was like the most exciting book mail of my entire year, by the way. And so I started it in the summer, but honestly, like, there's a reason why this book was set to come out in October, because it's such a perfect cold weather book. So if you haven't picked this book up, now is the time. You should definitely do it. It was the perfect book to just sort of get me in the mood for autumnal books, I feel like. And I adored this book so much. If you're not familiar with Ninth House, you're probably not following me on Twitter or Instagram, so you should definitely do that, because I can't shut up about it. But Ninth House follows Alex Stern, who is able to see ghosts, and this has sort of been a curse for her whole childhood. And she ends up getting recruited by Leith, which is a secret society at Yale, and Leith basically watches over the other societies. So each society within Yale, all the like big societies, are able to specialize within a specific form of magic, and Leith House is basically there to watch over all these houses, make sure they don't, step out of line or do anything too disastrous. So it's a book about privilege, about ghosts, about academia. I've been comparing it a bit to Veronica Mars. I think in the same way that Veronica Mars is able to mix darkness with like humanity and humor, I think this book does a really good job of that too. It does have some dark moments, but it also, I think at its core, is a very funny book, a very human book, and it made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me cringe, all the things. It has a murder mystery element within it, which is also really fun to read. I feel like Leigh Bardugo is really good at like just creating these puzzles. I know it's the first in a series, and I cannot wait until the next one, because I love Alex Stern with my whole heart. She's everything to me. Question 3, is there a book that you're still waiting for this year? And yes, there is, because Queen of Nothing by Holly Black comes out this year. This is the series finale to the I forget the title of this series, but the Cruel Prince series. And I am so excited for some Jude and Cardan times. Oh, it's everything to me. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm so excited. I love The Cruel Prince. I loved The Wicked King. I'm so excited for the Queen of Nothing to see what Jude and Cardan are going to get up to in this book. I'm intrigued for how it's all going to wrap up, because she is pulling in elements from all of her other Fae books, like slowly throughout the series. So I'm really interested to see just how that manifests in this final book, what this world is going to look like. I kind of feel like I need to reread the first 2 books, honestly. I might do that. I have them on audiobook, so I might do a quick audio reread of them before they come out like close to the end of November. But honestly, I cannot wait for this book. It's gonna be so good. I hope it's gonna be so good. Question 4 is, what are 3 books that you still want to read this year? And for me, I have the first one I'm hoping to start this week. I'm actually jumping on a flight to London tomorrow, which I'm so excited for, and I'm going to be there for a week. And while I'm there, I'm planning on purchasing the UK edition of The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I actually started this one also in the summer, but as I was reading, it was just like, I really just want to read this for the first time when it's colder out. I like really have like a thing with like sensory stuff, so when I'm reading books like that, I just feel like I enjoy the reading process even more if it's cold out, or if I don't know. Does that make sense? Anyone else like this? So I've been waiting for that one to come out so that I can finally go out and buy it and get the final edition, which looks beautiful, at least the UK one. I don't really like the US edition at all, so I'm excited to own the UK edition and just read it a lot. I'm also excited. I got the audiobook for it. It took a lot in me to not immediately start it, but I just got the audiobook for it, and it's a full cast, so I'm hoping that I can read it physically and also via audio and just get that like full immersive experience. So yeah, that one is basically, I don't even know how to describe it. I got like a third or fourth of the way through before I put it down, and it's basically a story for people who love stories, and it is incredibly atmospheric, and there are secret doors and magical libraries and a secret society, I think, which is everything to me. I love a secret society. So yeah, again, don't really know how to describe that book, but it's beautiful as much as I've read of it so far, and I'm excited to read more of it soon. Then I'm also hoping to pick up The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, and I have been super excited to pick this one up because I've heard it compared to Clue, and I read like the first like couple of pages and it has me so excited. Like even just the fact that you have like this like notable guest section at the beginning, it just feels very like murder mystery party Clue inspired, and I love that. I love Clue so much. If you guys have any recommendations for books that you think remind you of like Clue, please let me know. Or that like one murder mystery episode of Lizzie McGuire, which I still am waiting to one day live out that episode. This book, from my understanding, basically the character Evelyn Hardcastle is murdered and she jumps from body to body to relive that night to try and figure out who murdered her, and you, the reader, are also trying to figure out who murdered her by putting together all of the pieces. I have heard that there is a good chunk of fat phobia in this book, so I want to put that out there for anyone who is also thinking about reading it. I'm glad that I just know that going into it so I can prepare myself, but I am still really excited to read this one and hopefully still love it. We'll see. And then lastly, I have Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. I have never read an Anne Rice book before. Honestly, I had no plans to until I did my video where I DM'd authors asking for book recommendations, and Renee Audier recommended this one, and yes, I'm still reading books for that video. I meant to have like my wrap up to that up within a month, but one, I didn't own this one yet, so I had to buy it. So I only recently bought this one. And then two, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is one of the books for that video. So I gotta finish that one. So I'm sorry if you were waiting for like my full thoughts on it. I promise it's coming. I will upload that eventually. Interview with a Vampire. I honestly don't know anything about this. I just know that Tom Cruise plays the vampire in the film and that it is like a classic within the genre. I think also I recently read Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier and The Beautiful by Renee Audier. And The Beautiful is like inspired by Interview with a Vampire from my understanding. And then Rebecca is just sort of like a gothic romantic suspense novel, and when I was looking at like, oh, if I liked this, what should I read next, this book was listed. I assume they have nothing really in common, but this one probably has that gothic kind of vibe to it. That's what I'm getting from the cover. So I'm excited. I feel like I'm definitely, after reading Rebecca, in a sort of gothic literature mode right now. Question 5 is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite? And I don't know if I would say anything would shock me and become a favorite. I mean, I'll be honest, if this becomes a new favorite, I would truly be shocked because it's a book that I've never really wanted to read, and I've always had like very preconceived notions about it. So if this became a favorite, I would be shocked. I was pretty shocked that I enjoyed Rebecca as much as I did. A book that is coming out that could potentially be a favorite of mine would be Queen of Nothing, although I feel like I would be more shocked if it wasn't a favorite. That would truly be shocking for me. Lastly, have you made any reading plans for 2020 yet? And yes, I have. So I'm currently doing a read-along for the Diviner series with two of my best friends, Emma and Sarah, and we are just reading month to month each of the Diviner's books. So in January, I am planning on reading Before the Devil Breaks You, and then in February, the release of King of Crows is upon us, and I will probably cry on that day because I've been waiting for this book for so long, years and years of waiting, and I'm so excited to just see how the story wraps up, what she does with all these characters. I am also very scared because I know Libba, like, she does not pull punches on readers, so I am like scared but excited nonetheless, and just so excited to be back in that world and to be reading with two friends and all of you guys who are participating in the Diviners Club. I know I want to do another readathon in 2020, so if any of you weren't able to participate in that readathon, that was basically a week of just reading books by and about Korean people, I definitely want to do that again. But other than that, no big plans, but excited to begin those planning stages and just to be looking into like what are those 2020 releases that I'm super hyped for. Can't wait. So yeah, that is the end of the yearbook tag. If you guys would like to answer any of these questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Or if you have any thoughts about the books that I talked about in this video, please let me know. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye!